with decimals is very similar to subtracting with whole numbers. Money is a form of decimals that most of us are familiar with, so we'll start there. Say you start your day with $8.65. Stopping for donuts and coffee costs you $4.23. How much money do you have left? Well, I need to take away $4.23. So from my hundredth spot, I need to take away 3 pennies. From my tenth spot, I need to take away 2 dimes. And from my dollars, from my whole number spot, I need to take away $4. So when I do that, that leaves me with $4.42. We could solve that same problem without the dollar sign. If I had 8 and 65 hundredths and I wanted to subtract 4 and 23 hundredths, I would line up my hundredths place, my tenths place, and my whole numbers place. Then I would subtract each place value. In my hundredths place, 5 minus 3 leaves me with 2. In my tens place, 6 minus 2 leaves me with 4. And in my whole number place, 8 minus 4 also leaves me with 4. So I would be left with 4 and 42 hundredths. Borrowing or regrouping is frequently a part of subtracting. Again, we'll start with money. Here we have $7.31, and from that we want to subtract $5.68. Well, starting in a hundredth spot, I have 1 penny and I need to subtract 8. Well, in order to do that, I'm going to have to borrow from my tenth spot. Borrowing 1 dime isn't simply going to work because I need to break it up into pennies also. 1 dime is equivalent to 10 pennies, so I can change that 1 dime into 10 pennies. And when I do, that's going to give me a total of 11 pennies. Now from those 11 pennies, I can subtract 8 of them, and that leaves me with 3 cents. Moving on to our tenths column, I have 2 dimes left, and from that, I need to subtract 6. Again, I don't have enough dimes, so I'm going to have to go over to my whole number and borrow $1. I can't use the dollar, the form that it's in now, so I know $1 is equivalent to 10 dimes. So I'm going to change that $1 into 10 dimes and put those in my tenths column instead. When I do that, I now have a total of 12 dimes, and from those, I can subtract 6 of them, leaving 6 dimes there. From borrowing, I have $6 left, and from that, I need to subtract $5, leaving me with $1. So when I'm done borrowing and subtracting, I'm left with $1.63. We could solve the same problem without the dollar sign. 7 and 31 hundredths minus 5 and 68 hundredths. In my hundredths column, I can't do 1 minus 8, so I need to borrow 10 from the tenths column. Now I can do 11 minus 8 to leave me with 3. My 2 that's left in my tenths column isn't enough to subtract 6 from, so borrow from my whole number. Now I have 12 minus 6 to leave me with 6, and in my whole number column, I have 6 minus 5 to leave me with 1, giving me a difference of 1 and 63 hundredths. When we subtract with decimals, we don't always need to start with money. Here we have 245 10,000ths minus 100. When we go to subtract these values, the most important thing we need to pay attention to is lining up my place values. So here's my 245 10,000ths, and from that, I'm going to subtract 100th, making sure I line up my decimals and my place values. When we do that, we can see we have places here that don't have any values in them, so we can fill those in with placeholder zeros. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5, 4 minus 0 is 4, 2 minus 1 is 1, 0 minus 0 is 0, my decimal stays in the same spot, and then 0 minus 0 is 0, leaving me with 145 10,000ths. Over here, we can see we have 8 and 2 tenths minus 653 thousandths. Again, when we go to subtract, the most important thing is making sure we line up our place values. So 8 and 2 tenths minus 653 thousandths. We can see we have places up here that don't have a value in it, so we can fill in our placeholder zeros. This is even more critical in this problem because I can't do 0 minus 3. We're going to have to do some borrowing. So when I go to borrow next door, I still have a 0, so I have to come all the way over to my 2. Borrow from my 2, that leaves me with 1, that gives me 10. Borrow from my 10, that leaves me with 9, so that gives me 10 minus 3 now. 10 minus 3 leaves me with 7, 9 minus 5 leaves me with 4. Here we have 1 minus 6, so we're going to have to borrow again. Borrow from the 8, that leaves me with 7, so now I have 11 minus 6, that leaves me with 5. Again, my decimal stays in its spot. 7 minus 0 then leaves me with 7, so I'm left with 7 and 547 thousandths.